another reading lesson. We've been spending so much time with my five senses. And before we dive into our reading lesson, I have a question for you. What sense do we use to see pictures? Point to the body part that you use to see pictures. Are you pointing to your eyes? You're right. Where are some places you can see pictures? Where are some places you can see pictures? Yeah, we can see pictures maybe in a photo album, maybe on the wall. I have a photo right on the wall here. We use our sense of sight to see things, and we've been diving into two amazing texts titled My Five Senses by two different authors. And today, our thinking job is going to be looking at both of these texts. So let's find out what our thinking job is for today. Are you ready? Here we go. I can compare two texts on the same topic. Go ahead and put your thumbs up and repeat after me. I can compare two texts on the same topic. So today we're going to dive into both of our texts and look and see what our topic is. I wonder what our topic is. Before we start to do that, let's find out what our reading thinking steps are that will get us to our reading thinking job of I can compare two texts on the same topic. When we think about compare, that means we're talking about what's the same about these two texts on the same topic. So our first step is, what are both texts mostly about? That's the first step we need to think about. Our second step is study one idea in both texts. And step 3, find what is the same about the idea. So we talked about key details last week, so we're going to look at those words and those pictures to find out how are these the same. So let's dive into this work. Are you ready to compare two texts? Great. When you compare two texts, you find what is the same. And today you will learn to compare two texts so that you better understand their topic or idea from both texts. What are mostly about. We're going to focus on comparing My Five Senses by Aliki and My Five Senses by Margaret Miller. We're going to compare these two texts to see what these texts are mostly about, and we're going to focus on one idea and then dive into the words and pictures to see what are the same. We're going to start at step 1. What are both texts mostly about? Let's quickly look at the pictures on the covers of My Five Senses by Aliki and by Margaret Miller. Think about how the details are connected. Your teacher's going to pause the video and talk to you about what is the same on the front cover of My Five Senses by Aliki and My Five Senses by Margaret Miller. You might have talked about they have the same titles. The title is My Five Senses. Both texts have a lot of pictures that show seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, and touching. The topic of both senses are our five senses. I know that because the title says that, and I can see on both front covers, there's a boy and a girl showing us what we can use our five senses, what body parts we use our five senses, and what we can use our five senses for. Step 2, study one idea in both texts. So we will compare the pictures, and you might need to look on more than one page to do this. We're going to focus just on these 2 pages. We're going to study one idea on these 2 pages. Your teacher's going to pause the video and talk about what you notice on this page from My Five Senses by Margaret Miller and this page from My Five Senses by Aliki and come up with one idea that you see on both of these pages. Did you talk about the idea surrounded around the sense of taste? Great. Let's move into step 3. We're going to find what's the same about the idea of my five senses of taste, my sense of taste. We're going to look at the words and we're going to look at the pictures. To compare pictures, you're going to find people, you're going to find objects and actions that are in both examples. Think about what each picture teaches you about the topic. Decide how the illustrator made the pictures in each book. Your teacher's going to pause the video and talk about how the words and the pictures help you find the same idea. I notice Aliki has a drawing of a boy licking ice cream. It shows that we need to use our tongue to taste. I notice Margaret Miller has a photograph of a girl eating ice cream, and this picture is a real girl and it's taken with a camera. Both pictures show children eating ice cream, and it teaches us about the sense of taste. Is that what you came up with? Great. So we've been able to find out that the idea is about our five senses and focuses on the sense of taste, and we're able to see that both children are using their tongue to taste ice cream. In a moment, your teacher is going to pause the video, and I want you to look at these pages from My Five Senses by Aliki and My Five Senses by Margaret Miller. I want you to talk about what do you see in each picture and what objects are in both pictures and what pictures are shown about the senses. So what do you see in the picture? What do you see in both pictures that are the same? And what sense are they using in both pictures? You probably said that you see a boy smelling a pink flower and a girl smelling a yellow flower. That also tells me that in both pictures, I see the objects of flowers, and that's how they're the same. I notice the boy has his nose up to the flower, and so does the girl. Because we're learning about my five senses, and I've learned I use my nose to smell, that tells me that these pages have the idea of smell. And the author and illustrator have told me this by having illustrations and photographs showing children smelling flowers. Is that what you came up with? Great job. Here's another one. Same thing. Your teacher is going to pause the video. You're going to look at both pictures and look to see what you see in the picture, what objects are in both pictures that are the same, and what do both pictures show about our senses. So what do you see in the picture? What is the same objects in both pictures? And what do both pictures show about our senses? Did you say that you see a fire engine, a drum, a bird, and also a fire engine on this page? I noticed that both pages have fire engines. I also know fire engines can be loud when they have their sirens. And I've learned from my five senses that I use my ears to hear. When fire engines go by and it's loud, I cover my ears because I can hear them. So if I'm going through my state thinking steps of 2 and 1, that means the idea is about my five senses, and what's the same is the fire engine, and I've learned about my sense of hear. Is that what you guys came up with? Great. So now you are going to be doing the same work in Seesaw. You have 4 pages today. You can access all 4 pages on the right side of the screen. You are going to be deciding if both texts tell about the same or not the same. So on the first page, do both texts tell about the same kind of animal? You're going to use the pencil and either circle thumbs up or thumbs down. The next page, do both texts tell about the same color of the animal? By using the pencil, either circle thumbs up, thumbs down. On page 3, do both texts tell about the same tool the illustrator used to make the picture? Using the pencil, thumbs up, thumbs down. And the last page, do both texts tell about the same sense that the picture shows? Using the pencil, thumbs up, thumbs down. When you're done, click the green check to submit. All right, it was great comparing our 2 texts of My 5 Senses. We were able to see that the author and the illustrator, they use similar objects to help us better understand our 5 senses. Remember, sometimes illustrators draw pictures, and some illustrators use photographs from cameras. All right, until next time, bye, Kipsters.